My live. Hi, everyone. Okay, my screen looks different too. So, live right now. I don't know how to tell. So, I go for it right now. Welcome. I am tuning in today, Sunday service. Welcome, everyone. If anybody, hopefully I'll see you on here. Facebook's changed up their format. Sunday service. Thank you for coming. Today, I honestly felt pretty all over the place with what I want to share. Realizing on Wednesday, I'm on here and offer a meditation. And that's been so sweet to drop into that space and guide you all through a practice. And then Sunday services are really church for me, for us, for you. It's our time to gather with me, Esther, of a health history, the Lotus Way, and honor the visions I've had for over 20 years and desires to serve and missions that have been driving my life 24/7 for 2 decades. And Sundays are, I hope, going to start becoming this time where those who find their way to this service begin to contemplate some of the philosophies and practices and beliefs that the Lotus Way is founded on, that the Lotus Way is growing to, and all that is 100% about you, about being you, about figuring out how I can serve you and how we can connect and build as a community to in service in bigger ways. So that being said, and at this time in the world, what day are we at now? The 19th of April. We've now exceeded a month of the globally huge impact of this virus and of what we and governments are doing to shift drastically the way that we are living. Some of these shifts are temporary. I think most of us are beginning to realize and pull with and do our best to come to terms with the fact that a lot of shifts happening right now may not be temporary. And I think we have a lot more shifting to go through. So I hope wherever you are sitting, literally and figuratively with all of this right now, that the reason you have landed here with me is because you're contemplating how you and possibly how we can do a better job navigating this time by using mind, body, spirit approach to thinking, to feeling, and to taking action or non-action, to making our choices, how we are all going to navigate life. You know, and it's tricky right now, and I am feeling amazing magical connections happening. I'm feeling optimism. I'm seeing so much beauty coming out of this time, and I am feeling, seeing, supporting, and holding total devastation, horrific, scary things. I've supported a handful of people through this past season that, we were not testing. Now that we know the signs and symptoms of most likely this virus. Other people have had other really bad, scary bugs this season. It was a horrible one. And know that whatever happens with this specific event right now, we are being shown that going forward in life and dealing with our immunities, our weakened immune systems, our vulnerabilities, viruses and economic situations and structures and systems that well or aren't working, we're all looking at the whole world in a different way. How are we going to navigate next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when another virus comes around, or this one mutates, or we learn something that we haven't yet learned about how we're getting through this time. It's really a lot. It's really intense. It's really crazy. And yet, showing up here, I deeply honor, so deeply honor. We are people who believe that there are things that we can do to exponentially shift and change and grow and heal through these times if we connect with each other, with our teachers, physicians, with our colleagues. And so, the Lotus Way was really, truly built for this time. If I could take all back into the room where I was sitting in meditation in 2001, in October of 2001, I'll never forget it. I just saw television stations and production companies, and shortly before that ended a 6-year relationship of my life, and was looking at my future and where I wanted to take my skills as an educator, as a producer, as an athlete. I'd been new to practicing yoga and feeling called to natural medicines. And anyways, I was sitting in a room in Padmasana, and I had one of those download moments. I saw not only my path and the evolution, which was quite humbling because I was really just starting on a lot of the paths that I've now steeped myself in. But I saw it. I saw my life going its trajectory, and I saw the teachings behind the flower that have been around for thousands of years, to the point where many people consider the image of the lotus a cliche, and it is so not. Fine, it is, and it has so many rich lessons in it, and you can go back in some of my live videos, and I've talked multiple times about the teachings of the Lotus Way. But what I want to say today was what I also saw, in addition to my path and the concept of the Lotus Way and becoming an organization, which it now is, and managing a nonprofit and a healthcare ministry, is that I saw the lines coming. I'd had been many years into having my opinions, predictions, visions, whatever you call them, of the reality that most likely in my lifetime, in our life, some really intense shifts, transitions were going to happen. And we've seen these things coming. Our governments saw pandemics coming. Our great scientific and political and spiritual and medical leaders have been saying we needed to be better prepared. And from our naturopathic and classical Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic and indigenous medicine systems who have had this foresight, awareness as we look around at the world, we have been getting more and more out of balance, less in touch with nature. We have been making decisions that have created immunocompromisation at a massive scale, species in our waters and our animals, and there's so much we can do about it. And it's hard, frustrating to figure out how to implement the things that so many of us know could be helpful. And of course, right now, there are people spending an unbelievable amount of time and resources trying to figure things out. So on a small scale, what I saw with the Lotus Way is my little role. And so right now, as I sit here with however many people are seeing on live right now, I think there's 3 or 4, and probably by the end of today or tomorrow, if the numbers are right, 200 people will tune into this message. I don't know if you'll watch a minute or two or if you'll actually watch through the whole thing. But all I know is I'm sitting here because I want to be of service. I want to honor the visions I've had, the calm I've had, and then use every skill I've cultivated in my lifetime, again, as a teacher, as a producer, as a yogi, as a Chinese medicine practitioner, a doctor of Oriental medicine, an acupuncturist, states where I'm licensed to be an acupuncturist, and as a minister. So Sunday service, I'm mostly in my ministry hat. So I wanted to talk about the Lotus Way. We are a church, and I have no ego about our mission, my visions, my mission. However, I do know that this organization's entire purpose of existing is to become a community of ministers and farmers and scholars and physicians and practitioners who believe that there is a numinous spiritual aspect to everything, especially to healthcare, especially to how we care for ourselves and each other to get through crazy times like this and to deal with our elders, our children, our immunocompromised, and people who are generally strong and healthy and want to stay strong and healthy. All of the relations. And to also honor the life-death process in a way that our culture is still not fully embracing death as a natural process and part of life. And I have many friends who have organizations specifically focused on mortality, death, but COVID-19 is definitely giving all of us an opportunity to really look at mortality, right? They're throwing up mortality statistics on a daily basis. I know people in towns today, they're just counting how many people are dying today of COVID. The numbers are staggering, folks. I am, please know, if any of you see the stuff posting on my personal page and my personal opinions of going on, no part of me is minimizing the severity of the situation. I don't agree with a lot of the ways the mass media is handling things. I don't agree with throwing out of numbers when there's so many uncontrollable variables or unacknowledged variables being entered in before they give us these numbers. So there's that, but it's a big deal. And what is I want to as the Lotus Way and a physician and as a minister, I want us all to acknowledge that there are so many important ways for churches, for spiritual communities, for healthcare ministries, for people who acknowledge the amazingness of empirically-based sciences and medicines, because I am a big fan, huge fan. I went to a school with a research department, the Scott Center of Research at the National University of Natural Medicine. There are heroes that are creating amazing studies and research right now. There is also a big reality in that not all science can be empirically measured. And that doesn't make it invalid. That doesn't make it unimportant. It certainly doesn't mean that are difficult to measure empirically work. And we've got to embrace this. We've got to honor empirical evidence, honor modern science, so many amazing things. But we are, as a culture right now, being almost entirely dismissive of the naturopathic, homeopathic, Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine, basic vitamins and minerals, practice sciences that could be helping exponentially. And instead of those things getting funding flooded at them right now, like our lives depend on it, they're being dismissed. They're literally almost being called non-essential providers. Most of my colleagues have been entirely shut down and unable to practice, and I can't even begin to talk about only not being comfortable or able, or in some cases legally able, to support people that may have this particular viral strain, much less the many others that are constantly floating around and have mortality rates to them. But helping the people who are addicted and trying to come off of the things that they're addicted to, helping people who have chronic pain. We're almost totally, we've gone from being able to help people to right now not being very and being able to help them in a hands-on way. And I think that for a period of time that may be necessary, but there are so many factors to think about as far as long-term aspects and what is essential and what is non-essential, and how we integrate these other very, in my opinion, essential healthcare practices back into our work. They were on the fringes already, and we needed them more a year ago and 10 years ago and 20 years ago, much less this year and next year and next year. How are we going to navigate that? It's so important. It's my life. They're the practices that saved life. They're the practices that my entire life has been based on, hundreds of thousands of dollars towards my education. So many of students are practitioners who are in similar situations, and so many of my patients and students who are used to getting the type of help many of us offered, who are not able to access that help right now or afford it. I've made almost no income in the past month. Almost everyone I've treated is on the closer to zero end of my sliding scale, and I want to help everybody. I'm just stating I'm so grateful for my friends and colleagues who are okay and who have job security, but basically I don't even want to get into the economic side of this. Let's focus on Lotus Way's missions and what I said, and really, I really want to be here empowering you, empowering who's watching this, who's ready to truly start cultivating our practices and our foods and our services and gathering, collaborating with our experiences that are all crafted from ancient and modern sciences, all that allow us to integrate our care and that are all rooted in this mind, body, spirit approach to things. How are we going to do that? That's what I'm here for. That's what this church is for. That's what this Sunday service is for. Now, if as more people join, I can start talking about some different things that we can do as an organization. But really, I need to find out who out there really wants to do these things. And if you can look at our website, you can look at our archive of live videos to go back for months and months. Years. Actually, you can look at notes and things that I have posted talking about these times coming, talking about how important it is for us to figure out how to live if there isn't gas at the gas stations, groceries at the grocery stores, and utilities at the flip of a switch, much less toilet paper. How are we living? We're so dependent on a grid and on food systems that are not only unsustainable, but 80% of the food that is eaten, if not more, in cultures is toxic. 50% have almost no nutritional value. What are we doing? How can we shift paradigm? And is now not enough to get us up to do that? Because I've been asleep and I've been preaching this from the rooftops for 2 decades that we need to get our systems corrected and more sustainable. The new word is regenerative. To get our systems so they are giving life and health and wealth in a natural abundance cycle. It is possible. It feels almost impossible. And why is that? Why have we set ourselves up for this, not just dependent, but codependent relationship with this grid and these big corporations and these very flawed systems that have gotten so big they can't function to treat the individuals? I feel like I'm on the other end of the spectrum, and I never like the extremes. I've never been a big fan, but right now I feel like this tiny, small, natural, unfunded fringe thing on this extreme. Where's the middle? How do we come together? We need organizations this way. We need faith-based, spiritually based organizations that also celebrate science, that also have farmers and practitioners and doctors that have done extensive training and research that also can hold a bigger space for these numinous spiritual components to come into our decision-making processes, our political, our economical, much less, of course, our healthcare processes, our education. It's missing people. So this service is about asking all of you, if you feel called looking around your financial circumstances, your domestic circumstances, where you're living, how you're getting through your daily life, please look at the systems that you are dependent on, how stable those systems really are, and how much has been keeping us ill and distracted and not feeling like we needed to make living more sustainably and in smaller, stronger communities that can provide their own food and health care and basic needs the number one priority in our lives. So if you are watching this and you want to do that, here's even better. If you're watching this, or if you know someone who's watching this who has done that, please help me get in touch with them. The Lotus Way, I want to look at how I collaborate with individuals, with other organizations that share these missions. I want us to all grow together, so any of us who are connected to here now make this way of living a priority 24/7. You know, I have a guru and a community who are doing that for over 40 years to a better extent and degree than almost anybody I know. So I know people, a lot of farmers, organic, sustainable, and even regenerative farmers. I know people who are trying to do this with educating their children, to keep their children connected to nature and reduce screen time. It's hard to do this stuff. It's hard because this big corporate grid that we're on makes it hard. And I want to also come right now, if I say that, the next words that I started thinking, saying, and want to say are conspiracy theories. And I have had my share of bullies insulting me and calling me an anti-vaxxer and a conspiracy theorist. I would like to right now say that I'm an anti-vaxxer, a pro-science and safety studies. I am a scientist who is not biased towards the pharmaceutical industry. That does not make me entirely against all pharmaceuticals. And as far as being a conspiracy theorist, again, I'm a scientist. And in science, we have theories. We look at data, we look at current theories, established theories, popular theories, even things that are considered facts. And we question if we feel called, if something does not seem right, or quite simply, maybe we just think, okay, this is fact, but geez, the outcomes sure are shitty. So there's something else we could look at that we're missing. That's what you do in science. You develop, you go out and use calm, clear, rational, logical, mind, heart, evidence, experience, if possible, empirical tests. You research historical documents, and you come up with theories, and sometimes conspiracies get proven. It's happened within our government. It's happened with people in great positions of power. And the fact that we have started negatively stigmatizing and bullying people who question the mainstream media narrative is not okay. It's divisive. It's not going to help any of us. And there are some unbelievably smart scientists questioning the popular narrative right now. And so if people feel threatened by that, if people feel like questioning these things is inappropriate or I propose to you that it's the opposite. And I propose that based on multi-thousands of years of our species self-governing and governing and managing our bodies of governing power that we need to question. And look, at ways that maybe we could do things differently. So as I say all of this, and I hope to I'm not getting into big details. Oh, I will say, I have so much. I mean, before I left West Virginia in early March, I'd started gathering data, evidence, studies, case histories, tracking Chinese medicine doctors, Ayurvedic doctors, epidemiologists, ERMDs, and nurses. I've been following as many tracks of this as I can, both because I just love geeking out on it and because I really do think all of us need to look at how big this is, how many different areas of uh, education, healthcare, economics are being impacted and going to be forever and changed, and then figure out each of our roles are and how we're going to deal with things differently. And so in all this, I've found phenomenal, intelligent people sharing things, and I've got all. So if any of you are interested, I haven't been putting almost that on our community page here, but I have been putting quite a bit on my personal page, and I have archives of you name it, videos, labs from North Carolina that got sent on in 2015, NIH funding for the virus, gain of function, the relationships of, and all of this stuff is out there. I have gathered things in a non-emotional, non-sensationalized, just facts and data way, and very, as a oriental medical doctor, have connections to a lot of practitioners in China, and so my evidence and my information is coming from a lot of directions, and I have a lot of very valid resources. But all this is to say that as someone that is offering services once a week, as someone that's deciding what to about on Sundays, what meditation to do on Wednesdays, how to support my individual patients, how to build the 800-hour curriculum for the yoga therapy training of yoga therapists that we are building. I've been a yoga therapist for 20 years and now have a school, and we're launching a huge curriculum, 800-hour to train new practitioners as well as advanced healthcare practitioners from all into integrating the thing I have found to be most unbelievably powerfully effective for treating so many health issues from a perspective of yoga and Asian medicines. And how can I help you guys? How can I be of service? How can you all help me grow the way as a healthcare ministry? Who can we get to that is already doing bigger things, good things, and they need more boots on the ground? They need us. That's what this is about. That's what right now is about us changing how we did our daily lives. We've all been almost paralytically stopped, right? I was asking people to make drastic change in their lives before all that happened. And a lot of people have said, yes, I want to, yes, I want to, I want to be a part of a community of farmers and create land where we can live and or come and study and practice collaboratively. But we would say yes to these things, then we would go back into our comfortable flow and zones, dealing with our friends and family and relationships and job houses, and nothing sometimes got done. But now is a time where, is it bad enough yet? Are there enough signs that we needed to have done that last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? How about now? So what I can tell you is, as an individual person, I have those relationships. I have the friends, have fairly, if not totally, sustainable properties and homes and lives and financial situations. I feel very blessed on an individual level. So if it was just about, I could stop right now and I have a handful of different farms I could go on to, and good. Some part of me is still called to help hold a space for any of you who want support in making these kind of transitions in your life. And I have no attachment to if you just with me or with other people. I have no attachment actually to any of it. But I have a calling to support you in doing it in your own life. So the Lotus Way is about really two things in that regard. It is about us collaborating to see if there are one or two projects that the Lotus Way could be an integral part of for creating that vitally healthy, organic food, sustainable, not dependent on the grid type of place for a small community to function in this. If that doesn't happen, fine. Like I said, I have communities like that and I'm connected to them and so grateful for them and happy to introduce you to an extent to them. Although I don't know any that are active growing. Like I said, if you know those that are here in the United States, for me, I support them all over the world. But what I can say is each individual, I can help consult you to look at your life, your home, your relationships, your work, your health, and help you in that direction. And if you do not think that needs to be a priority, then that's where the rubber meets the road, where I will say it needs to be a priority. Please make it a priority in your life. And to whatever extent you see me as a person who can help you, that is my mission, that is my passion, that is why I have spent my life studying and preparing for a time like this to help others in any way. I am not a frontline acute disease physician. That is an unbelievably commendable and very scary role that other people have felt called to in their lifetimes, and thank God for them, and they are all out there doing unbelievable work. Then there are many other service providers right now. Anybody who is providing what I did as an essential service in the world. And the rest of us, really, let's look at what were we doing our time and energy, what services have we been focused on providing, and what service providers have we been focused on supporting, and have we been participating in the highest frequency possible of a system that sustains and regenerates vitality and well-being. Where are you putting your dollars? Where are your dollars coming from? And healthcare. How dependent are you on pharmaceuticals and on a system that has some real challenges? And one of the biggest ones has dismissed thousands of years of medical science and natural ways of addressing healthcare. And please, 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 if you have not yet, give me and other practitioners a chance to help support you so you can become less dependent on this grid and these systems that are flawed and that are causing a lot of major issues right now. And I just had a surgery, by the way, everybody. I mean, I just had an emergency surgery 2 weeks ago. I'm a huge fan of a lot of things in modern medicine, so I'm not entirely dismissing a system. I'm just saying that it entirely dismissed my system, and we need to bring them back, and I'm here to support you with them. And I will conclude this portion of this evening's program by just saying today I wanted to remind everybody about the Lotus Way's mission, about being a healthcare ministry and supporting people to shift and integrate both economically and logistically, and certainly with your health, into more vital ways of living and being. And I want to help you with that. I'm so unbelievably feel blessed that I had these visions 20 years ago, and I shifted my priorities. I sold my businesses and refocused my energies on being sustainably, organically, and connecting with people who did that, and into getting myself vital with as natural as means as possible. And I studied for 20 years. I've been studying with every teacher I could, and then with school. So that means use all of these skills that I've gained, all gained with a vision that I had 20 years ago about this time. I was sitting there knowing that as I entered my 50s, 20 years ago, I would honor the calling that came to me, that I knew I needed to study, practice, and change the ways I was living, and that it was going to take decades, but that I needed to start right then and there, because in a couple decades, the world was going to need this more than ever. And at least on a selfish level, I needed to do these things so I could be in a position to hopefully at least take care of myself and my immediate friends and tribe. So I feel like I've gotten there, and now the other part of me, how can I serve more? How can I help more? How can I help more? That's what's my heart, and I hope you reach out and let me know how I can help. How ideally we as a community can begin to grow and help each other. That is the Lotus way. So I wanted to actually conclude tonight with sharing a mantra, a chant with you that is very simple and powerful. It is a part of my practice for years to sing chants, to sing simple phrases, often in Sanskrit, repetitively. And I won't go into the science behind mantra today. If it's something you're familiar with, then you know. If it's something not, that's something that we can work on in our sessions. And it has been a part of my personal and private practice for a long time. I don't always share or teach mantras to my patients and students. Sometimes I do, and certainly I am a part of multiple communities of kirtan practitioners, mantra practitioners. And so I wanted to get you into one today that came to me as I was meditating this morning. As I know, I can't count how many people I know who have been affected in the last month or so, in a way that we know people who died from this disease. We know people who have died in the last month from other diseases. My friend Pam lost her 17-year-old cat yesterday. So I'm just thinking of death. And I am reminded again and again how much opportunity we have to develop practices to help us handle disease and death with more tenderness and more grace and a more welcoming instead of fearing perspective. And one of those is with this mantra. It is a beautiful mantra that is from the Upanishads. It is Om Asatoma Saya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mritorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Om Asatoma Satgamaya, lead me from unreal to the real. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead me from darkness to light. Mrityorma Amritamgamaya. Lead me from death to immortality. Om Shanti Shanti. In the root of all vibration, peace, peace, peace. So this gorgeous, simple mantra, to be led from the unreal to the real. I mean, I have so many times. Do you guys feel like you're living in a science fiction, apocalyptic feature film, right? I mean, the difference between reality and unreality, there's no separation almost right now. And we, anyways, figuring out what is unreal and real, letting us let go of the illusions and the constructs and the surrealness surrounding time to a place. And when we say from the unreal to the real is constant. The real, the unchanging, and maybe not the best word, but the pure is unwavering as all of this chaos swirls around it. So finding our way as we all trip out on surreal nature of this moment of time, we find our way back to a true center, to a lifeline that is so real and can navigate us through these surreal, unreal times. Have you said that lately? This is yes. So how do we get led from that unreal time? Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, from the darkness to the light. Dark times. There is always a light burning in the midst of them. And so we focus on the dark. It's there. I'm not saying it's not. Does it serve and help us to get lost in the darkness, or to look for, and if necessary, cultivate the light? Dharma Amritam Gamaya. From death to immortality. And that does not mean we avoid death. It's the opposite. We realize that the death-life cycle is a cycle, that it doesn't go life, death, done. That if we allow life and death, then we realize energy neither being created or destroyed, but just changing forms, immortality. And so when we chant this mantra, asking us to let go of the unreal and be in the real, to not get lost in the dark and find the light, to not get trapped in the definitive fear of death, and acknowledge immortality. How beautiful. So we're going to end today with a chant. Om Asatoma Satkaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya. Sato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyoti Gamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tasoma Jyoti Gamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyoti Gamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyoti Gamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyoti Gamaya Mrityoma Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So I wanted to give to you all that mantra. If it's one you have practiced, may you enjoy my offering. If you've never practiced, I hope it resonated with you. You can rewind this and listen again if you need reminded. But to sing this over and over is such a simple reminder to ourselves to surrender, to give ourselves to a state of being that is real, that is light, and that is in. And right now, amid these crazy times, this is an important thing to remember. And please, as we end, remember that I'm here for you. And I mean that so sincerely. However I can help support you finding your way from the unreal to the real, from the dark to the light, from death to immortality. However I can help you wherever you are sitting right now with your health or the health of your loved ones that you're around. From navigating the potentially overwhelming realities and logistics and decisions of time in your individual lives. I want to be there for you and support you, and I hope that the decades of studies and practices that I have committed myself to become more and more valuable to any of you who feel called to work with me, and to any out there who have sources of support that align with the missions of the Lotus Way. We would love to collaborate, and so I hope we can do that too. I love you so much. I am so grateful for this time that you gave here, and I hope as you go forward in your week, you can return to this, return to the other information that we've been sharing. And if you need more information, like I said, please let me know. I haven't been putting it all on our Facebook page. I've put some things on my personal page, or I'm just archiving. I'm working directly with either physicians or students and patients I'm working with to share. And my entire mind, heart, and spirit are with all of you right now. Today we'll do another guided meditation. And if any of you are looking for meditations to use for a week, the archives now have several for you to enjoy. I love all of you. I hear from all of you in between these beautiful rains. And I see Tad on here. I'm see if I can read what he did. Yes. One of my students is from Japan, and he posted a beautiful, hopeful message about 12 Chinese herbs combating COVID-19 successfully here in the U.S. and some challenges with able to administer that kind of medicine here legally. It's real, but there are definitely so many beautiful ways for us all to better navigate these times. So let's help each other do that. I'm here for you. Bless you. Om Asatoma Sakama. Toma Soma Jyotirgamaya. Ritorma Ram Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Blessing. I don't know how to end the video. You're gonna have to sit here and watch it later because I can't see where. Here it is.